Hi friends, it's Em, and today we are going to be going through my planner lineup for 2026. So this is, to the best of my knowledge, every single planner that I'm going to be using in 2026, hopefully an exhaustive list. And what I mean is that in the sense is that I really hope to not do any like planner switches throughout the year because I don't end up using all of the pages in the planner and it just feels like a waste. But we're going to get into how I'm going to use every single one of these and have a little bit of a flip through sort of situation. So first, this is the Pipa sketchbook from Archer and Olive. I have been using it as a swatch book and I still have tons of pages in here. I honestly might even like redo my swatches and I would still have plenty of room. I would redo it in the sense that like rather than having every single Tombow swatch here, I would have every single red swatch on one page. So then when I'm looking for a red, I don't have to flip through all the pages. I can just go, oh, these are all the reds I have. But swatches, easy peasy. This is something I reference for every single setup that I do. I'm really excited about this. So this is a Neapolitan notebook from Little Craft Place. I'm not exactly sure who the like actual notebook person that did this is. It might be Scribbles That Matter, I'm not sure. But it is a B5 notebook with just like the cutest cover, and I like that it has different papers already in it. I am hoping to use this kind of like a junk journal, sort of just a like, I want to make a spread, but it doesn't really fit in one of my other planners. This is where it's going to live. So this will hopefully also be useful for the years to come. I feel like I might use this even before 2026 to kind of do like a memory keeping from my Japan trip. I think that could be fun. And I was sucked in by the cover and I told myself that I had to use it this year or it just wouldn't like make any sense. So that's that. Now, before we get into sort of the new things, all right, this is my reading journal for 2026. I don't know if you can see on camera. Oh yeah, you can. Like how lovely that is. It has these like midnight blue iridescent edges. It's from Archer and Olive and it has white pages. So this is going to be my book journal. I bought this on Black Friday. I thought that I've almost used one journal for the last 3 years or so and then pivoted away. I'm gonna pull these out right now. But this is just, it's too good not to use for a book journal. So that is where I'm leaning for 2026. I will be filming a setup for this in the weeks to come. I just have to actually figure out what I want and then do it. Easy peasy. Now, along the lines of my reading journal, I'm actually going to start doing a separate review journal. So this is from Everyday Explorers, and it was a collaboration with Jenny McGarvey because she had used one of their journals to do this, and then they said, well, hey, that's a great idea, let's like partner together. First things first, this needs to get like some stickers on it or something because it just looks way too plain. It looks like, I don't even know. But on the inside, first of all, it has a very, very thick cover, which I like. And then on the inside, it's literally just, oh, I don't like this first page. I don't like that first page at all. It has space for you to put like the cover or the title. How I've seen it done is that you do like the cover and then maybe like a format and a star rating and like what you thought of the book. And I thought that this could be a really great way to maybe update on my favorites of the month. I think I did the math and it's like, so it's 8 books per page and there's 128 pages. or sorry, no, 4 books per page, because 128 pages would be page 1, page 2, I believe. So I could fit every single book that I read this year in here. I don't know if I want to do that. But what I am really excited about is just to be able to like I have a spreadsheet, right? And sometimes I feel like I get really unmotivated to write my reviews, but I was also thinking that I could do like the first quote of the book or something in there, particularly if it's a book that I didn't like but I think other people will like. Sometimes people can get really negative and be like, no, nobody ever read this book, and I'm like, well, somebody's gonna like it. Like, there's a book for everybody. But I am excited to get into this. I've had this for like 2 or 3 months now, and it's just been sitting here, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Okay. Then we have another case of the needs stickers all over the cover. So this is the Laurel Denise book-bound vertical. This has also been sitting in plastic for the last couple of months. I am excited. So I love Laurel Denise. The problem that I had in the past was the spiral. And so, you know, if you've been following me, I had the regular size, then I had the small size, and then I had the calendar stand-up pop-up planner size. And I was still struggling. I was still struggling with the, just like, kind of, not the design necessarily, but just having that coil there at all. And in the past, I've gotten a little more used to having, like, you know, with the book bound, sometimes when you're over here, it's like, okay, like there's a lot of resistance there. I'm getting a little more used to it. So we're just gonna do a quick little flip through of what is up with this journal. I'm gonna be using this for hopefully social media. It's also gonna be more of like another way to use my stickers, a way to be creative sort of thing. I used to do that with my passion planner, and I really liked that. And we can do maybe some fun setups here in the journal. There is a ribbon bookmark somewhere in here. There it is. So hot pink, love it. So it's just a regular monthly, and then columns for the weekly, and then a big space underneath. Oh, I cannot wait. On the left-hand side, I could see myself using this for goals or for to-do lists, things like that, or just filling it up with stickers, either or. And then I believe you just flip through, right? You've got a bunch of months. It goes, and then it's just a monthly. There's no like pausing to think about your goals or like things that you have to like write in. No, this is just business. And then in the back, I had to check because so in the back you have your yearly wins, your yearly lessons. This is kind of like a recap, and you could ignore everything back here if you wanted to, right? Like, it's your life. And I like this plan ahead, right? So like if I know that Chicago Planner Conference is going to be in November on these dates, I could plan ahead for that. Similarly on like for tax day or something, or when I don't know. I don't have to deal with that, but like when things like that, important dates for you come in, like it could be when your website renews, and then you have a yearly plan. I don't even know how I would use this or what I would use this for, but interesting. Okay. And then sort of something similar but completely blank. I think you could use this for like a year of pixels style thing. I also want to see how these align. Yes. So you would have probably like 28 or 30 of those. And you have a couple pages for that. And then grid, dot, and this little like currently thing. So what you're reading, hobbies, listening to, sort of journal stuff. And a big old pocket. I love that. So that is sort of what I'm going to be doing for January in 2026. I'm excited. I have too many stickers, and if I keep buying stickers, I really need to start using them. And maybe this is just like my experimental planner. I don't know. We'll see. I wish it had a little like strap though, because I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna fill up. All right, and then finally, the one planner, like actual planner that I did for all of 2025. It's the Hemlock and Oak. And this one, I don't know why it's glitter. There's glitter on it. I'm not entirely sure. But it is like this lovely indigo dyed, like it has ombre. You can see there's some teal in there. It's very pretty. So I'm gonna do a quick flip through and sort of talk just a skosh about how I used my Hemlock and Oak. At least in 2025, I basically ignored everything at the beginning. And I don't necessarily think that that's the best decision. I think that maybe in 2026, I will actually go in and do this. So I think it's gonna be like a little bit nice to look through this together. I know I looked through this a year ago, but I have no recollection of it at all. So we're here. So you can kind of reflect on like what you're proud of, what gives you energy, what drains your energy, what's been like meaningful and fulfilling. Identify people that you respect or admire and the qualities that you like. Part of this is sort of about like identifying maybe your routines and like how you want to be, and then you can move into how you want to get there. This is just classical cognitive behavioral therapy, where if you take those negative beliefs you hold about yourself and you reframe them into neutral or positive statements. So like one of those would be like, wow, I'm a little much. And you could reframe that into something that is to the effect of like, wow, like I have a lot of ideas and enthusiasm or whatever. One of those is bad. The other one is way better. In the spirit of that one, it's like if you think I'm a little much, go find less. But that's also negative technically. And then these are kind of like statements about yourself that are positive and uplifting. These could be affirmations. Maybe you repeat those to yourself. And then you get to do a little value identification, and you can, I did some of this last year, but I didn't actually do it all the way out. So like, these are the things that you value. They might not be your strengths necessarily, but they're important to you. And so, you know, whether that's like things like vision or daring or energy, they've got everything from A to Z essentially. And you can kind of analyze if there's any common themes. You could do a little mind map here. And if you're interested in me going, like actually working through this, let me know. I will absolutely do it. I'm just not sure if I'll do it on camera unless there's a request. Then for goals, you get approximately, you get 5 pages of goals. So these, I feel like these would be like my big scary goals. This is, because I only get 5, right? This is what I would do for this page. So you state your goal, why it's important to you, and your values. I think that that's actually really important because, for example, let's say I have a goal of running a marathon. Well, I don't actually want to run a marathon, right? I want the feeling of running a marathon. I want that recognition, etc. So this might actually help you realize that what's important to you about it, right, isn't actually the thing, right? You might find that this is a goal that you think that you should do versus one that you actually want to. And maybe instead, right, if I'm wanting something where I feel like recognition and accomplishment, well, maybe I want to do something in regards to art or work or something. It's not something that for you or for me actually matches up with the values and your priorities. Then it goes into the habits that you need for this journey. So for running, right, this could be running, stretching, fueling, going to the gym. For something art-based, it might be, you know, making time for creativity and actually practicing, getting in the habit of posting your creations, and then breaking down the steps that will get you really started. I think that this is important because this is not going to be run a 5K, run a 10K, run a marathon, right? Those are not the steps to kickstart your journey. Those steps are probably going to be like, get a gym membership so that you have access to a treadmill or something. Buy good running shoes. You know, things that you're like, okay, when you inevitably fall off, you can do these 3 things and get right back into it. Now, however, then we go into brainstorming some markers that will help you measure or identify your progress. So this could be like, if you're tracking your runs, or if you're seeing your distance, so 5K, 10K, I don't know how many Ks are in a marathon. Or if you're wanting to learn how to cook, right? Maybe it's identifying recipes and cooking new recipes and sharing them with other people, and sort of like developing your skills that way. And then from that brainstorm, you're going to create milestones. And so that should, you know, that hope of chasing the first one, then the second, then the third, even if you fall off, should be able to get you back on. So this might be like joining a club, right? Joining to get you that accountability for doing your art or doing your running or whatever. And then after that, then it's, you know, maybe some more intermediate milestones where like the final is the final, like this is the thing, like signing up for getting into an art show, or like signing up for your race or doing your race. And then when will you review your journey? How often? I think personally, I find that like checking in each month is useful. But if it's a habit that's like, let's say even more granular than that, right? If I need to be doing this every single week, then I should be checking every single week. It just depends. Then after the goals, I think this is really important. So we know our goals, right? We've identified the habits that we need for this, and then we can cultivate the habits. So for example, if we say like, I want to improve my skin this year, right? I want to make it so my skin is less breaky outy or less dry, etc. Well, one habit I might want to cultivate is skincare. So then you get into, okay, so that's the habit you want to cultivate. What action will cue the habit? So generally this is like a concept called habit stacking, where you have something that you do, and so let's say I brush my teeth, and I brush my teeth every night. And I would say, okay, I brush my teeth and then I do my skincare, or I brush my teeth and then I floss my teeth. And that cues the habit and makes it easier for you to be like, okay, we're doing it. Then they have trackers. I'm so bad. I'm literally so bad at actually tracking. Particularly like if I can't see the tracker every single day. So that part doesn't really work for me, but it does let you make observations with the habit and be like, okay, well, you know, sometimes I stay up too late, and then by the time I brush my teeth, I'm exhausted and I don't want to do my skincare. And so, you know, that would be identifying a barrier that you can then make adjustments and say, okay, I'm going to set an alarm on my phone so that I make sure that when I'm going towards bed, I have enough time to do my skincare. And then this is definitely a page that you would flip back to because you're supposed to celebrate some aspects of your journey. And, you know, if you haven't actually done the journey, you can't celebrate it yet. But yeah, and then so it's 2 habits per page, and you've got 3 pages, so six habit cultivation little worksheets. this is the page that I really need to do personally, which is a daily framework. So how do I want to start my day? Where does my energy go? I've done some of this in the past, but like it feels like I create my ideal schedule and then just throw it out the window. So I feel like, you know, December is really when I want to be trying out new habits and new routines and sort of seeing how they work. And so, you know, whether that's waking up at 6 a.m., unlikely. But maybe it's, you know, having a 2-hour block before I go into work to do things. And it might be an ideal day rather than an ideal schedule, because sometimes I don't want to do everything every day. But there's areas for you to note the barriers that you typically encounter, how you want to end each day, and self-care activities. And then this is just an important page that you might want to reference throughout the year. Last year I put my yearly goals on this, and I've referenced it quite frequently. And then we go into a little calendar, a monthly calendar, so you could write down things here before you propagate them into your actual monthly spreads. I am more of a Google Calendar girly, but I will note that, you know, things like this where you have quarterly stuff, I think that that's really useful. And then after the quarters, we go right into, we have a completely blank page, which you could again use for goals. And then we're into our January overview. So this is what I do in my monthly setup. I have been avoiding doing this on here recently. I just haven't been feeling it. But if you want to see them again, let me know, and I will bring that right on back. And then we're into the weekly layout. So I really like having the times down the side, and I like I've gotten used to the grid, if I'm being honest. I really like for like tracking things using the dot markers in each of the grids, and you've got your focus, intentions, to-do lists, and then the entire week. And it goes from 6 till 10. Sometimes the numbering will only go from like 6 until 6, and I'm like, what do you think I do? You think I go to bed at 6 p.m.? Like, no, I'm up. And then you have that for the entire month, and then you get into your review spreads. And these I use for memory keeping. I really like it. And then you've got 12 months of that. And then the year-end review, which I haven't done this yet, right? It's not the year-end, but there is, I would say, a fair amount of stuff here. So you identify 5 memories that you want to cherish, who or what you're grateful for in the last year, how have your values changed in the last year. So I think for that, you know, it might be useful if you've done the value assessment for 2025, do it for 2026 and see what happens. Then what are you proud of? 3 challenges that you faced and how did you grow or what did you learn? Write down 3 positive things about yourself from the last year. What vision do you see for yourself in the future? What do you want to change? What are 3 steps to get you closer to that vision? And then a little sort of brainstorm bucket list of things you want to do, places you want to see, and people you want to spend time with. And then we're into the grid at the end. And that's the Hemlock and Oak. And that is literally it. That is it. So on a regular basis, I should really only be touching these 4, which is technically, it feels like more than I do now, but this I use on a monthly level. This I would use on more of like a daily, weekly level, and then these 2 would be weekly. So it's not insurmountable. And I think that I've really been missing the social media planning elements and just sort of a planner to play in, as well as like actually doing reading reviews. So that is where we're at. So let me know what your lineup is looking like. If you have any questions about mine or need any recommendations, let me know. And as always, happy planning.